My daughter ran out from the porch, her princess dress glittering under the evening sun. She wrapped herself around my leg and shouted, "Daddy! But Mommy said Daddy's in heaven. This is my real daddy." She lifted her innocent face, blue eyes shining, and pointed behind me. I turned, and my chest clenched like a fist around my heart. Standing in the doorway was Mark, my best friend since high school, the man who once sat beside me in a fire truck, who split cheap sandwiches with me in our rookie days, who promised to look after my family if I didn't make it back. Now his hand rested on Sarah's shoulder, and Sarah didn't push him away. I staggered. Ash from wildfires still felt lodged in my lungs. I had gambled my life in the flames just to see my family again. But in their eyes, I was already a ghost. Mommy said Daddy Mark bought me a new dress. Emily's voice rang out, bright, innocent, but every syllable cut into me like a knife. The backpack on my shoulder still reeked of smoke, the straps burning into my skin, my old fire jacket scorched at the sleeves. What I meant to show as proof of survival suddenly felt useless, because right there, on the threshold of my own home, I had already died, not in the fire, but in the death certificate signed by the two people I trusted most. Sarah stood frozen. The wineglass shook in her hand, dark red spilling over the rim, dripping onto the porch like cold blood. Neighbors peeked from their doors. Whispers carried through the air. "Oh my God, Danny's alive." But no one stepped closer. They had all attended my funeral. They cried, lit candles, embraced Sarah, and blessed her new family. To them, I was just a phantom, back to shatter their peace. I looked at my daughter, the child I swore to protect with my life, and she was calling another man Daddy. In that moment, I didn't know if I should hold her or scream. I had walked into fire to come home, but even alive, they buried me with lies. And that was the cruelest truth of all. My death didn't happen in the flames. It was signed, long ago, by my wife and by my best friend. My name is Danny Horn, 34 years old, a firefighter from a small town in Montana. This town has only one main street, a few diners, a repair shop, and an old fire station where I spent most of my youth. I used to think life here was like an old clock, slow, steady, never changing. I was wrong. I met Sarah at a fall festival. She was selling apple pies with her friends, her blonde hair tossing in the wind, her laugh warm, bright, like September sun. I remember walking up, nervous, saying, "I think I just found my reason to come back next year." She giggled, asked, "Is the reason the pie or me?" I stumbled for words, but that smile stayed with me. We married when I was 27, a small wedding, but the whole town came. Mark, my best friend since childhood, stood as my best man. He raised his glass, clapped my shoulder. "If anything ever happens to Danny, I swear I'll look after Sarah and his family." Everyone laughed, treating it as a joke. I didn't. I felt warm, knowing I had a brother to rely on. Then Emily was born. Tiny. Blue eyes, just like her mother's. When I held her the first time, I shook like I was cradling a fragile flame. One mistake, and it would go out. Sarah was exhausted, but smiling through tears. I whispered, "You'll grow up knowing your dad can run into any fire and always come back to you." Emily grew faster than I ever imagined. She loved to draw, always the same picture. A man in a big jacket, holding a hose, standing by a little house with smoke above it. At the bottom, scribbled letters, "My Daddy." One day I asked, "Why do you always draw smoke?" She looked up, serious. "Because I know Daddy works in smoke. But I draw blue sky too, so Daddy can always find his way home." I smiled, my nose burning. Our life was simple. An old wooden house my father left me. Breakfast was toast and thin coffee. I left early for work. Sarah took Emily to school. Evenings we gathered at the small table. I didn't need wealth. Happiness was just seeing them smile. Mark visited often. Once, I came home early, found him fixing the kitchen light with Sarah, humming some tune. I didn't doubt a thing. He was the one I called to help move furniture, the one who carried Emily when she took her first steps. I trusted him completely. But being a firefighter means you never know tomorrow. Every summer, wildfires pulled us away, sometimes weeks, sometimes months. I remember Sarah calling once, tired voice. "Emily's burning up with fever. Are you coming home soon?" I swallowed, lied. "I'll be home soon." But I knew soon for me meant weeks. Emily began to understand too. Every time I grabbed my bag, she ran after me, hugging her worn-out teddy bear. "Daddy, can you braid my hair when you come home?" I nodded, but my heart twisted. By the time I came back, her hair was already longer, and I had broken another small promise. Sarah stayed patient, but the dark circles under her eyes told me otherwise. She was alone. Holidays came. She hung the lights by herself, baked alone. I promised. Just a few more years. When I rank higher, I'll be home more. But maybe a few years was too long for someone running out of faith. Then last summer came. I was sent to California. The biggest wildfire in decades. The sky turned orange and gray. Smoke so thick, it swallowed the sun. We fought for days, nights. Sweat mixed with ash. In my pocket, I carried Emily's drawing. Me standing by a little house. Blue sky above. Every time exhaustion hit, I looked at it and whispered, "I have to make it back. Emily's waiting." But the mission dragged on. Calls grew fewer. Sometimes Sarah didn't answer at all. When she did, her words were short. I thought, she's angry, she's tired. I never imagined. Her silence hid a death certificate already written. The day I left Montana, Mark gripped my hand tight. "Don't worry, I'll take care of Sarah and Emily." Back then, I was touched. Now, I see it was the end of my life already signed. This town survives on whispers. Everyone knows everything. They saw Mark at my house. They saw him with Sarah, taking Emily for ice cream. But no one said a word. Then news spread. Danny died in the line of duty. The whole town showed up at my funeral. They cried, laid flowers, held Sarah, comforted Emily. No one knew I was still alive, fighting for breath, thousands of miles away. I once believed my life was an old clock, slow, reliable. But when I came back, I realized some hands had already been turned back. Some gears secretly rewound. And the hardest truth was this: every warm memory I carried home would never be whole again. My first night back, I sat on the stone bench outside the house, watching the yellow light spill from the windows. Inside, I heard laughter, familiar, yet strange. Sarah giggling, Mark's voice deep and loud, glasses clinking, and Emily's laugh, clear as a little bell. I sat there, frozen, like a stranger lost in my own home. The next morning, I gathered the courage to knock. Sarah opened the door, her eyes wide, her hands shaking, spilling coffee on the floor. "Danny, my God, you're alive?" I looked straight into her eyes. I was never dead. "But what did you tell Emily? Who signed the death certificate?" Her lips pressed tight. She stepped back. I heard Mark's voice inside. Then he appeared, standing between us. "Danny, calm down. Everyone believed you were gone." "Believed? Believed enough to hold a funeral in my yard? Believed enough to collect insurance money? Believed enough to replace me while I was still alive?" Mark's face darkened, but his eyes, arrogant. "You were gone too long. Sarah needed someone. I only did what had to be done." My fists tightened, but I held back. Then Emily peeked from the back door, clutching her teddy bear, her blue eyes wide. I choked and walked away. That afternoon, I went to see old Mr. Benson, our neighbor. He hugged me, trembling. "Danny, they told us you died. The whole town came to the funeral. I saw the coffin, the picture." "And what else did you see?" I asked. He hesitated. Sarah cried, but not for long. Soon, she smiled again. And Mark, he was always there. Their eyes, not just friends. I walked away, empty inside. The next day, I slipped into the house while Sarah was out. My old key still worked, but the house felt different. Our wedding photo was gone. In its place, Sarah, Emily, and Mark. My fire jacket, once hanging by the door, vanished, replaced by Mark's leather one. My boots, replaced by another man's. The armchair where I once held Emily until she slept, now pressed with new creases. The scent of another man's cologne still clung to it. I opened a drawer, found a folder. On top, my death certificate. Danny Horn, died July 14, 2022. Wildfire, California. The red seal burned cold. Beneath it, life insurance papers. $250,000. Beneficiary, Sarah Horn. Witness signature, Mark Stevenson. My hand shook. I read it again and again. I had never died. But on paper, I was gone. Then I saw it. The silver watch, my father's. I remembered giving it to Sarah before I left. afraid it might be damaged in the fire. And now, here it was, filed as evidence of my death. Who else but Sarah could have handed it over? My chest caved. This wasn't a mistake. This was a plan. I was about to leave when footsteps sounded. I ducked behind the curtain. Sarah and Mark entered. Emily rushed in first, holding up her new drawing. Through the gap, my heart split. In her picture, Mommy, Daddy Mark, and an angel with wings. Beneath it, shaky letters. My real daddy in heaven. I bit my lip until it bled. My daughter truly believed I was dead. She had been taught to believe it. From that day, I wandered the town. People looked at me like a ghost. Some wept, clinging to me. Others turned away, whispering, "If you're alive, what was the funeral? What about the insurance?" I understood. For many, my return wasn't joy. It was a slap in the face. They had mourned. They had blessed Sarah's new family. And now I was back. A reminder they had all been fooled. One afternoon, I saw Emily at school. I knelt, smiling. "Emily, it's Daddy." She hesitated, whispered, "But Mommy said you're in heaven. If you're here, then why does Mommy cry at your grave?" My chest tore open. I held her. Tears fell. She stiffened, unsure if she could believe me. I knew then, silence was no longer an option. I had to fight for the truth. Not just for me, but for Emily. I went to the town lawyer's office. He froze at the sight of me. "Danny Horn, I certified your death certificate, my God." He explained. There was an official report from California Fire Department declaring me missing. Evidence submitted, the watch. Everything legal, no loophole. I left his office. Montana rain poured cold on my skin. This wasn't just betrayal of love. This was calculated, signed, witnessed, proven. I had been erased, legally. That night, I lay in a damp motel room, staring at the cracked ceiling, listening to rain tap like nails on my chest. One question pounding in my head. Who built this lie? And how do I prove to Emily I never left her? I remembered my vows. Mark's handshake. Emily's drawings of blue skies. I had survived fire, but now I saw the fire of lies, betrayal, and greed burns even hotter. And I never imagined that silver watch would lead me to a truth far worse. A truth that could turn the entire town against me. I thought finding that fake death certificate would bring the truth to light. But the deeper I went, the more I realized I was sinking in mud. Every step dragged me down further. In my damp motel room, I opened the folder again. A photo of my father's silver watch, placed on a gray stone counter. I stared until my eyes ached. The V-shaped vein in the stone. The crooked H I had scratched long ago. It was my kitchen counter. No mistake. I drew a deep breath, like swallowing ash. They had taken my father's keepsake, placed it on my own counter, snapped a picture, turned it into evidence of my death in California. I took it to the sheriff. He glanced, then pushed the folder back. "Danny, you came back from the dead. Don't let your mind create more ghosts. A reflection in a photo proves nothing." I slammed my hand on the desk. What about the veins in the stone? The carved H? I lived with it my whole life. He only sighed. "You know Mark works in insurance. Don't make things harder for yourself." I walked out. Wind cutting cold against my back. Sweat soaking my shirt. I knew I had just knocked on a wall with no door. I turned to the firehouse. The place that once called me brother. Chief pulled me into his office. Laid a paper on the desk. "Danny, you're suspended. No pay. Reason, unstable mental state." I looked up at the wall. Certificates hung there. Signed by the insurance director, Mark's employer. Even the station I risked my life for had turned its back. My locker was cleaned out. The photo of Emily I had taped inside, gone. All that remained, the sticky mark of glue. Touching it felt like someone carving my chest. I tried to see my daughter. At the school gate, I begged, "I'm Emily's legal father. Let me see her." The secretary handed me a paper. A temporary restraining order. Sarah claimed I was disruptive, threatening. For 2 weeks, I couldn't come within 100 meters of my own child. I froze. I had never shouted, never raised a hand. But with a few words on paper, I was dangerous. Through the window, Emily looked out. She raised her hand, our secret sign. A little bird. My chest ached. She still remembered. That night, someone sprayed "Ghost" across my old truck. I scrubbed until my hands blistered. Mr. Benson brought out a bucket of water, his voice hoarse. They fear facing the truth, so they turn you into a ghost. But scrub long enough, and every mirror shows what's real. I nodded, but my throat was locked tight. Then a spark. A small letter, folded into a star, left in Mr. Benson's mailbox. Childish handwriting. Daddy, if you're a ghost, ghosts can still braid hair, right? Friday, I'm in the school play. I'll leave a seat empty next to my teddy. If you're real, you'll sit there. My hands trembled. My daughter had given me a path back. The night of the play, the hall was lit bright. I sat in the back row, cap pulled low. Sarah wore a green dress. Mark beside her, front row. Emily on stage, in blue costume. Her hair braided to the left. A style only I knew. My heart twisted. When the curtain fell, the children rushed down. I saw the empty chair, the teddy bear waiting. I stepped forward, but the principal blocked me. Sorry, this area is for approved parents only. Behind him, Mark stood arms crossed, a thin smile on his lips. Sarah turned her face away. I turned too. But Emily broke from the crowd, pressed a crumpled note into my hand, then quickly ran back. I opened it. Daddy Real is only one, I believe. I'll wait. Tears fell. In a world of betrayal, I still had one small ally. Rumors spread fast. Danny's gone mad. Danny's trying to ruin Sarah's new family. At the grocery, the owner shook her head. Sometimes, letting the dead rest is best. I bit my tongue. I was alive. But in their eyes, just a ghost stirring trouble. In despair, I turned to Lydia, reporter for the local paper. I handed her everything. The photo, the insurance papers, the restraining order. She listened, nodded. If true, this isn't just fraud. It's a story the whole town helped carry, knowingly or not. But I'll need proof no one can deny. She told me, bring a stonemason to verify the veins, a watchmaker to confirm the scratches, handwriting analysis on the signatures. I did all of it. Every result backed me. Lydia smiled. Now only one piece is missing. Who took the picture? That's when Mr. Benson arrived. Hands trembling, holding a USB. I kept a camera facing your house. It shows Sarah and Mark carrying a silver box into your kitchen. They set it on the counter, took pictures. I was scared, so I hid it. Until now, I gripped the USB, heart racing. We opened the file. The video grainy, but clear enough. Sarah and Mark. In my kitchen, placing the box. Snapping photos. Timestamp. 1 week before the insurance claim was filed. My breath hitched. My body shaking. No longer suspicion. This was truth. Lydia placed her hand on my shoulder. Danny, you have proof. But be ready. When this truth comes out, it won't just burn Sarah and Mark. It'll tear apart the story this town has lived by. And Emily, she'll be caught in it too. I nodded. But inside, ice spread through me. I looked at the USB in my hand. My shadow stretched long across the stained wall. Outside the window, headlights flared. Mark's truck pulled up in front of the motel. My heart pounded. And I knew this wasn't the end. It was only the beginning. Headlights cut through the motel window, splitting my shadow across the peeling wall. I clenched the USB in my hand, my heart pounding. Footsteps in the hallway. Slow, deliberate. Announcing his arrival. The door burst open. Mark stepped in. Leather jacket. Cigarette smoke clinging to him. He smirked. So you still won't accept you're dead, Danny? I gripped the USB tighter, my voice hoarse. I'm alive, and I have proof. The whole town will know the truth. He chuckled, leaned closer. The truth? Emily doesn't need the truth. She needs someone to braid her hair in the morning, someone to walk her to school, to hold her when she's sick. In her memory, you really did die. And me? I'm the one living with her every day. You think a blurry video will change that? Each word stabbed like a knife. I staggered, but forced myself to speak. I don't care what the town thinks. I just need Emily to know who her father really is. Mark laughed, dragged on his cigarette, blew smoke in my face. One day, she'll choose me. And you'll lose everything. Again. My chest tightened. My fist rose, then froze. One punch, and I'd become the violent man Sarah wrote about. He tapped Ash to the floor, his voice cold. Disappear, Danny, or no one will believe the firefighter survived. He slammed the door. I stood shaking. The next day, I met Lydia at a small cafe. I handed her the USB. She played it, eyes tense. The footage is grainy, but it matches the stonemason's words, the watchmaker's marks. Enough to start. Tomorrow. The paper runs it. I exhaled, relief. Then her phone buzzed. She answered. Her face fell. The editors were pressured. The stories blocked. I clenched my fists. They were faster than I thought. That night, I went to Sarah's house. The door opened. Emily ran out clutching her teddy, her eyes wide. Sarah yanked her back. "Danny, you can't be here." "Just 5 minutes." She hesitated, then nodded faintly. Mark appeared, arms crossed in the doorway. That smug smile. I looked at Sarah, voice breaking. Why? I was alive. Why sign my death? Tears streamed down her face. I waited, every night. But the reports only said you were missing. Emily asked every day. I had nothing left. Mark was there. He cared for us. Then it went too far. And when I realized, there was no way back. No way back. Far enough to steal my father's watch? To fake proof of my death? Sarah collapsed into a chair, sobbing. Mark cut in sharp. Enough. I planned it. But Sarah chose me. Danny, you have to accept it. I turned to Sarah. Do you? Do you really choose him? Her face torn, eyes red. Then she nodded. That nod sliced through me. From the doorway, Emily whispered, trembling. Daddy, please, don't fight. Her voice crushed me. I turned away, swallowed the rage. Then Emily stepped forward. She held out a new drawing. 4 figures. Mommy, Daddy Mark, a small angel, and a firefighter. At the bottom, shaky letters. My real daddy. Sarah and Mark froze. I held the drawing, my hand trembling, tears falling. In a town that turned its back. My daughter still held the truth. Mark lunged to snatch it. Sarah stopped him. For a second, guilt flickered in her eyes. I turned, left with the drawing pressed to my chest. Later, back at the cafe, Lydia replayed the USB. She froze the final frames. In the kitchen, Mark and Sarah. But in the corner, a third figure entered. I leaned in. A hand placed the box on the counter. A silver ring glinting on his finger. Engraved with a star. The same ring the sheriff once bragged about at a fundraiser. Passed down 3 generations, he said. My blood turned to ice. Not just Sarah. Not just Mark. The sheriff was there. Lydia's face paled. Danny, do you understand? This isn't just betrayal. It's a network. If this truth comes out, it won't just destroy Sarah and Mark. It will shatter the story this town was built on. Even Emily will be pulled into it. I sat frozen. The USB blinked blue in the laptop, like a cold eye staring back at me. And I knew I wasn't just fighting 2 people anymore. I was fighting the entire system, built to protect a lie. And the truth could burn everything down. I never thought I'd stand against my own town, the place I was born, raised, the place I once believed I belonged. But when I saw the sheriff in that video, I knew there was no going back. The next morning, 2 cruisers waited outside the motel. The sheriff leaned against his car, face stone cold, that silver star ring glinting. Danny Horn, he said slowly, you're summoned for trespassing and harassing the Stevenson family. The Stevenson family, not Horn? The words hit me like ice water. I had no place in my own story. They locked me in a damp room. The sheriff sat across from me, preaching, like he was my priest. Danny, this town needs your death. It brought money, faith, pride. If you take it away, they'll never forgive you. I stared at his ring, my voice low, sharp. I don't need forgiveness. I just need my daughter to know her father is alive. He left in silence, and I knew I was now the enemy of the system itself. That night, Lydia called, her voice shaking. Danny, cars are watching me. We can't wait. You have to go public, now. She was right. One more day, and the evidence could vanish. Sunday. The church packed with people. Whispers followed me down the aisle. Danny's alive. A ghost returned. Sarah sat in front, dressed in black, clutching Emily's hand. Mark beside them, chin high. The sheriff standing in back, eyes locked on me. I climbed the pulpit, voice hoarse but steady. My name is Danny Horn, and I never died. Gasps. Then silence. I held the USB high. This is the truth. This shows Mark, Sarah, and the sheriff faking my death to steal what wasn't theirs. I don't want the money. I just want my daughter to know her father lives. The air thickened. Then a cry split it open. Daddy! Emily broke free, ran up the aisle, clung to me. I fell to my knees, arms around her. Hundreds of eyes stared, stunned. The sheriff stepped forward. Don't believe him. A blurry video proves nothing. I opened the laptop, projected the final frames on the church wall. Sarah, Mark, and the sheriff. His hand placing the silver box down. That star ring gleaming under the light. Silence. No sound but heavy breaths, and wooden pews creaking. Then whispers, "That's the sheriff." My God, it's him. His face drained. He shouted, "Fake. It's fake." Too late. The people's eyes had changed. Respect gone. Trust broken. Mark roared. Charged at me. Reaching for the USB. Emily screamed. Clung tighter. I stumbled into the pulpit. Sarah leapt up, grabbed Emily's arm, tried to pull her away. But Emily cried out, "No, Daddy's here, my real daddy." Sarah froze. Her eyes red, torn between two worlds. She looked at me, then at Mark, and broke. "Enough, Mark," she sobbed. "You destroyed everything." Her scream echoed through the church. Mark staggered, pulled back by strong arms from the crowd. The sheriff slipped out, face white as chalk. Sarah collapsed into a pew, hands over her face. Emily stayed in my arms, shaking, but her eyes burned bright with belief. The crowd thinned, silent, no one daring to meet another's gaze. I sat on the wooden steps, holding Emily. Candles flickered on the altar, wax dripping, shadows trembling on the walls. And I realized, truth is like fire. It can burn a town to ash, but it's also the only thing that can keep me and my daughter warm in the dark. I don't know what comes next, but she has seen me now, flesh and blood, not the ghost they made me. And that is enough to keep me walking forward. The church emptied, the crowd scattered, leaving only shadows under the streetlights. I held Emily close, her heartbeat quick against my chest. In the wind of Montana, I knew. The storm had passed, but the aftershocks would remain. That night, we went back to the old motel room, walls peeling, ceiling damp. But to me, it felt safe. I made her hot cocoa. She curled up on the bed, teddy bear in hand. "Daddy," she whispered. "They'll all be mad at me, won't they?" I brushed her hair, smiled. "Maybe, but as long as you know who your father is, that's enough." She nodded, then raised two fingers, our little bird sign. I froze, tears burning my eyes. "I still remember," she whispered. And Daddy really came back. In that moment, I saw it clear. Truth can be buried, twisted, but in a child's pure belief, it can never be bought. The next day, I walked Emily through town. Eyes followed us. Suspicion, pity, anger. But this time, I didn't bow my head. Emily's small hand gripped mine, each step grounding me. At the corner, I saw Sarah. Gray dress, eyes red. She didn't come closer, just watched us from a distance. For a second, I saw the woman who once waited for me, who once placed her trembling hand in mine at the altar. Then the image blurred in my tears. I turned away. That part of life was gone. Night fell. Montana sky, full of stars. Emily slept beside me, her teddy under her head. Before drifting off, she whispered, "Daddy, tomorrow let's paint a bird on the window, so no matter where you are, you'll see me." I held her, nodded, my chest tight. When she slept, I sat by the window. The wind howled through the trees. Cold. I breathed onto the glass. Fog spread across it. With a finger, I drew a small bird. The lines shaky, but clear. Streetlight shone through, casting its shadow on the wall. I stared at it for a long time. Fragile, but glowing. And in that little shape, I found a reminder. No matter how big the lie, as long as one person believes, the truth still lives. I thought of my father, his silver watch, my wedding vow, all the things I could never get back. And then I thought of Emily, her steady breath, her small hand clinging to my shirt even in sleep. And I understood. What matters isn't keeping everything. It's keeping the one thing you can never lose. Outside, the night was heavy, but on the glass, the bird remained. A silent promise. Between father and daughter, I closed my eyes, at peace more than ever, because I knew I wasn't a ghost anymore. I was Emily's father, and the truth, fragile as it was still with me.